Welcome to The Quick Fix, a series that gives you wellness tips that are founded in research and that are practical and easy to apply in your life right now. These are short episodes that focus on all aspects of wellness: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, professional, and personal. The goal is to help you and I to live lives that are healthy and soaked with meaning and purpose. So let's get going. Exam times are stressful not only for the children but also for parents. And if you're a parent, working couple, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If both parents are working, then the stress is compounded. In earlier days, exam stress was largely around the board exams of 10th standard, 12th standard. But nowadays, the stress is not only for these board exams, but parents are getting performance anxiety starting from standard 1 exams. So in today's conversation on tips for parents around managing exams with and for their children, I draw on conversations that I've had with 2 teachers and 1 parenting and life coach expert on their observations of parent behaviors and some tips that they share with us how we can manage this process more effectively. So today's episode is really targeted for us as parents, and it's so important because not only can it make our lives more easy, but also the lives of our children. So please remember to subscribe to this channel and do share this episode link with as many parents in your circle of influence as you possibly can. So the 3 stakeholders I interviewed are Rachita Shah. She's a teacher in a leading school in Bangalore. The next person was Shaili Bevindra. She is a parenting coach and a life coach and an expert in issues around parenting. And Anay, a school teacher from Manali and currently a doctoral scholar in education at Oxford University in the UK. So from my conversations with these 3 stakeholders, 3 broad themes have emerged. And the 3 themes are mindsets that parents must change, tips on managing the exam period, and some tips on supporting children study more effectively. I'm really going to essentially quote most of this is verbatim quotes from my conversation with them. So Shaili Bair, the life coach and parenting expert, says that parents make the exam period one of do or don't do. She suggests that parents do not make the final exam or board exam a do or die period or events. Parents must control their own stress around the exams and their own beliefs around the exams so that they do not pass the stress on to their children. And as she said this, I was thinking of myself as a parent, and my beliefs around exam come from the beliefs that my parents had for me, which in turn came from their parents. So scary that what I'm actually thinking about and perhaps pushing my kids for actually is inherited from my grandparents. So we are a couple of generations behind in terms of the way we're thinking and looking at our own children. So according to Shaili, parents must learn to be calm first so that they do not compound the stress that society puts around these board exams. She says when parents take care of their being, the doing and saying usually is compassionate and useful. So she says parents must take care of their being, then the doing and saying becomes compassionate and useful. And from the solid grounded being, she says, emerges stable and consistent doing. And this has a wonderful optimistic cascading effect in their children, on their children. So in essence, what I hear her saying is that we really need to get our own stress, our own expectations, our own hyperness around exam periods. We need to really diffuse this completely so that we don't pass it on to our children. So Shaili continues, states that parents should ensure that they are involved and available to their children rather than demand marks or bribe them with things like, hey, you'll get an iPhone if you get above 90%. So to be involved and available, and I know this can be difficult if both parents are putting in long hours and long hours in commute, long hours at work. But there could be ways that we are able to be more involved and available, because demanding marks or bribing is not the best option. Rachita Shah, the school teacher with a leading school in Bangalore, explains that parents must remember that exams are a phase of life, not the be-all of life. They are just a phase of life. She says, granted 10 standard marks define the college you get admission into, but there are many opportunities even later in life. So don't get the children to believe that if they don't do well in these exams, it's a catastrophe, because it is not. It is not. She encourages parents to remember that the important thing is parents get a perspective themselves and help their children also to do the same. So first is, once again, she says the parents must redefine their perspective. In the long run, she says, 10 standard marks really do not matter. And she explains parents and children must realize that their marks don't define them and they don't define who they are. The child is much, much more than the marks, which are just a reflection of one day performance or the performance on that exam day. And Rachita says the child must be reminded that she or he is not the marks, but a precious, precious individual, irrespective of the performance around the marks. So in a sense, the exam, especially board exams, are milestones. Don't make them a millstone that the child has to carry around his or her neck. They are milestones and not millstones. Echoing these statements, Anay, a school teacher in Manali, says, think how many times, and he's talking to parents, think how many times you have been asked your board exam marks in the last 20 years. So rather than push for a rank or score, Anay says that parents should speak with the child about how they might feel about a broad range of results and how they can expect you, the parent, to react based on this range of results. And he advises parents, share with the child your own experiences and memories of board exams and how they felt and how you feel about it now and what you would have changed maybe if you were to do it again. Most importantly, he says that parents should connect reward to effort, not results. So connect reward to effort, not results. So remember, board exams are milestones. Don't make them tombstones. They are milestones. Don't make them tombstones. Next, our three experts go on to talking a little bit more about the exam period. So up to now, we have spoken about a little bit about the mindset that we as parents tend to have. So even during exam periods, Rachita Shah, our school teacher, states it's important that children have a balanced life. They must engage in physical activity during this period because this physical activity helps them release stress and channelize their nervous energy. Also, it helps them focus better. So Rachita reminds us as parents not to look at sports and games as a waste of time. It's very, very important for us as parents to appreciate this, that the physical activity, sports and games have a tremendous benefit on the overall performance for the child. So here are some more tips that these experts share with us. So instead of just asking the child to sit down and study, parents must help them create a timetable or a structure. So parents should ensure that the child has a quiet place to sit and study. It helps for the child to have some guidance from an adult. That way, the parent will also be able to track the progress of the child, and she advises parents to stop that nagging habit. Study, 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 study. Stop that nagging habit. So according to her, setting the timetable can also involve setting a time for gadgets, for playtime, for lots of other things. And she says to show solidarity with the children, parents must also limit their own screen time, TV, mobiles, tablets. And so if it means foregoing their TV viewing while the child is studying, so be it. So be it. Sometimes the parents will also have to create that study place, like getting a chair and a table for the child. She gives an example that in her school there is a parent who expects the child to do homework, but the child doesn't even have a desk to do this. Shaili Bindra, our parenting coach and life coach, adds that parents must be mindful of the basics. So to ensure that the children get good sleep for 8 hours, good nutrition, enough water. She encourages parents to teach their children deep breathing practices. She encourages parents to go out in nature with their children, and also not to pump children with sugar drinks and sugared treats. So each of these habits that she talks about have significant benefits on the physical and emotional aspects for the child. So as we bring our conversation to a close, it seems that the most important thing that we can do as parents is to change our own thinking, our own expectations around these exams. So whether it is midterms or finals or board exams of the 10th or 12th standards, you and I as parents, we must change our expectations from our children. They cannot be the expectations that we have inherited from 2 generations before. The times that our children are living in, the opportunities that are available to them now, the exposure that they have are very, very different from the era that shaped us, our parents, our grandparents. So it makes no sense to adopt the same outdated mindsets and behaviors that our parents used with us on our children. So let's make the changes that we need to make so that our children can really live their potential and enjoy the life that they have to the fullest. Happy parenting. And that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Please connect with us on coachtoolbox@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and review this channel. Details of our ICF-approved coach training programs and our services as executive coaches and coaching supervisors are on www.globalcoachtrust.org. See you in our next session.